Second cup of coffee. I'm a little manic. With me is Dr. Tom Foolery Carnardology Associate Professor. Hello, Dr. Dr. Foolery.
Hello, Dr. Knard.
Hello. Oh man. Yeah. So how was your weekend, man?
The weekend. I suppose
Yeah.
that did exist, didn't it?
I found out I didn't have a job. Man, is Andy just going to be talking about how he doesn't have a job? Yeah, maybe I'll talk about that. But what else did I do? I did a lot of work. I mean, here in terms of online stuff. But
well, reality's giving you a run for your money on trying to come up with crazy stories, though. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to do satire while it's staying one step ahead of the news cycle, or two steps ahead of the news cycle. It is tough to do. Hey, what's up, Sammy? They ruined your golf course, Dave. Oh no, imaginary god. I don't know who they are, but I feel you. What are you up to, Sam? I think you're muted.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Indeed. At least it's not Saturday and you messaging me thinking that it's Monday.
I was gonna say about the YouTube thing. They're fucking useless. I usually get notified about halfway through the show. But I look forward to the show so much that 11 o'clock, which is when you're on for me, 11 p.m., it's just so set in my brain. I usually don't know what the day is, but I know when it's 11 o'clock. So it's my Andy clock.
It's the Andy clock, right?
Yeah. I don't do the bell on any YouTube channels myself. I just go where I go.
I'll have to admit, I don't think I hit the bell on any YouTube channels either. I just, I know the places that I want to be at. And you may not know this, but is Andy going to talk about not having a job again? Yeah, because it still hurts a little bit, everyone. It still hurts a little bit. So I spend a lot of my time on the internet. So I see videos as they appear, and it's like, or I see stuff like Jimmy Lou's show on Thursdays at 9. I'll check that out because I like I like the comedy stuff. So you got a bunch of fans here in the chat, Sammy. I don't know if you saw this. You got a bunch of fans.
I'm terrible at compliments. I usually want to turn my camera off and the compliments and hide.
Oh, you're welcome, D Parks. D says great articles this weekend. And good. I'm happy that I brought some joy to you and yours. I've been trying to level up my satirical writing over the last week or two. So yeah. Well, we could do a competition about which one of us can't take a compliment, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Andy's much better at not taking a compliment than Sammy.
Well, I really
practicing.
I really excel at distracting. That's what I do. Someone gives me a compliment, and then I'll distract them with "Hey, look, it's something shiny over here."
Yeah, you're very good at distraction as well, Andy.
Just got to take this call.
Sure, man. Oh man. So Sammy, you guys still on lockdown? I think you froze. What's up, Dave? Simply Secular.
Hey, Dave.
Hey.
How you doing?
I am digging into a bowl of Cheerios.
A bowl of Cheerios.
Oh, Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh yeah, right.
Well,
if you're thinking of sponsorship in the future, here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, Honey Nut is one of the best kind of Cheerios.
So seeing Sammy in freeze is entertaining, I have to tell you. Hopefully he realizes that he's been frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on day 4 of Weight Watchers, and it has been as transformative. The last time I was on Weight Watchers, I dropped 20 pounds. It is just as transformational now as it was then. So this is me beating back the COVID weight right here, beating it back.
I have friends who have had vastly different experiences with Weight Watchers or with Nutrisystem or with, one of the Noom is the new one.
Noom, yes.
And my favorite quote of all time was, "This is the best program. I lose weight every time I go on it."
Wait. There's Sammy. What's up, Sammy? I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't hear all of that. You want to say that again?
It's like quitting smoking is easy. I've done it 100 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it
Yeah.
is.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
I've lost 4 pounds so far. To tell you the truth, I dropped a lot of weight. A lot of it's water weight, of course, and I schwitz. I sweat a lot whenever I go outside because I went out for a walk this morning. It was 92 humidity, so the humidity was 92, and so by the time I got back here after an hour's walk, I was soaking wet. So a lot. It's just water weight so far.
We
That's
have
fine.
that really cool misty rainforest rain going on today. It's like, slightly cloudy but damp, but like refreshing, and you're not really getting wet while you're outside, but the trails are damp and you're not kicking up dust, and it's just beautiful out here.
I bet the rain has free healthcare too, doesn't it, Dave? Is that what you're going to tell me?
But it's part of the free healthcare, yeah.
Healthcare, right?
Yeah. Did you, I sent you a tweet message this morning.
Oh, did you?
I did, and yeah, don't show it to the girlfriend. She'll just start the immediate celebration of life, going, yeah. They'll be dancing, shouting, high-fiving. Yeah.
Okay, so yes,
Is Sammy frozen again?
Sammy's frozen again. Yeah,
That's a
Sammy-
great. It's Frozen too.
But I mean, he seems to be frozen in these, not like in silly poses.
I know. He's very lucky. There are people who get that like super awkward, weird mouth open, head turned. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
The opposite of epic pose.
The opposite, yes, the opposite of
Yeah.
the pose. Yeah. Yeah.
So I hear you're between jobs. Is that how to correctly?
How is it that I had a job? I quit the job. I gave them 2 weeks notice to get this job, and somehow, and I have the email like at 3. This is how bad the HR person is. She sent me an email at 3 p.m. on a Saturday to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we fucked up." I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding from the eyes. I cannot believe this.
The fact that the HR person is checking emails at 3:00 on a Saturday, that in itself is a sign that things are not going well.
Yeah. If a company is messed up that much, it's a good sign it's better off not having a job with them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know I ever got clarified. So they didn't mess up the hours. Like, there's no job, right?
Well,
just no
this
job.
is okay, so the story changed over time. So right now they're restructuring the houses, at least that's what they're saying, and no one knows what's going on. I could do screen shares of the. I don't have screen shares, but I could easily do them and show you that basically it's like we don't know what's going on. Sorry for your inconvenience, kind of. And this is after I got the letter of acceptance. Like they gave me the acceptance letter of yes, you can now do this job, and everything.
If I can point something out, that some people might be missing. And I don't mean anyone in particular. I just mean this is something that often goes past people when they're applying for a job, is if you take a job at a company like this where you know there's issues with organization, you might be their best employee if you take this job.
Well, Dave,
There's a 0 chance, right?
I have considered that possibility that I could be senior vice president within a week or two.
Yep.
Yeah. So so that's what I'm doing. And my plan right now is just to find another job, make an application a day, basically, maybe 2, and just go heavy, just do more content here on the blog here.
Yeah.
Make sure you go heavy on the puppets on your resume.
Oh, dude, puppets. I did an Instagram reel on the cat the other day. And there might be a series of videos I'm going to be doing, little quick 15-second videos that Instagram likes about, cat versus Andy versus the cat. And
Dave.
You got to get those on TikTok too.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm pretty sure Dave was able to get a lot of his jobs with his juggling skills.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Being able to climb the crazy ladder goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
When somebody is sitting across the desk from you critiquing your work, and you stare straight into their eyes without saying a word for an hour, the first thing that crosses their mind is, does this guy have a gun? And then they think, if this guy does have a gun and he comes back here to shoot the place up, where's he going to start? And is it this office?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, totally. Speaking of guns, I do want to have this. I do want to tell you about my neighbor. So, my neighbor, as many of you know, we have a rat problem here in East Somerville. Rats just kind of pop out sometimes in the middle of the day. That's how many rats we have. And around dusk, around nighttime, there's just a lot of rats. And so my neighbor, like a couple of weeks ago, said, I'm going to get one of those airsoft, like a gun that Paul Hamish has, right?
Those aren't airsoft.
What are they? They're
air rifles, but make sure you get one that's around 1,400 feet per second, because those are the good ones you can get in the United States. Remington makes them. They're awesome.
I'm gonna have to do some more follow up with my buddy next door, because he got himself a very realistic looking automatic BB gun, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna be hunting rats in my backyard with this thing.
Now, are you hunting to cause them discomfort, or are you hunting to end their existence?
Glad you asked that, Dave. I think my my neighbor is looking to purge the neighborhood.
The purge, yeah. You want the better equipment you have, the better tool for the job, the more accurate it is, the more powerful it is, the less pain that you're going to cause the individual furry critter when you dispatch it in a efficient manner. So, yeah.
Well, it's so you asked me how does this really impinge on my life, and I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to bed last night with a girlfriend, of course, and occasionally we hear, it doesn't sound like a real machine gun, but it does sound like someone shooting bursts of BBs into the night. Like occasion, like every.
So he's shooting to cause them discomfort.
So the first night, I have to follow up to see exactly what his success was.
Yeah, if you're using an air pressured or a spring loaded gun that fires multiple rounds like that, then it probably, very, very probably doesn't have the power to penetrate the skin in a way that would dispatch the creature efficiently. It would just cause a very large bruise on them.
So, my thought was, well, maybe a crossbow would work, right? So I looked online for how much crossbow costs, and they cost like hundreds of dollars, like the regular crossbow.
Yeah.
Right. The regular crossbow, hundreds of dollars, and then I found a handheld crossbow for like under $100. And then I realized, as I'm talking to my girlfriend about it, realizing how stupid the thoughts in my head were. It's like, I'm going to use a handheld crossbow with my carpal tunnel syndrome. And the only thing that's going to occur is that there's going to be a headline in the Somerville Shopper basically saying, man shoots himself with crossbow, gets sent to hospital. That would be...
more likely he shoots his neighbor with crossbow.
Right, and he's a really good guy. And I don't want to shoot... I would end up hurting myself or others. Definitely not the rats. Definitely not the rats.
There's a couple of things about using a crossbow that are dangerous to you. Number one is if you're shooting into a bunch of rats and you fire your crossbow, you then have to reload, and that gives the rats an opportunity to dispatch you.
Oh,
so, before you buy one of those, look into how many people have been found dead in their backyards trying to reload a crossbow with rat bites all over them, right? The other thing is definitely the mass of the projectile is going to cause it to deflect, skip, or go somewhere you don't want it to go after it achieves its target distance. Yeah. So with a pellet, when it hits something or skips off something, it dissipates much of the energy of the pellet because it's such a small fragment of metal. And a crossbow bolt is like 100 times that mass.
Yeah.
And it will keep going.
Well, I had thought about the possibility of skippage. And so I would just be shooting into the soft earth of his lawn, where he is currently shooting.
Wait, of his lawn?
Well, yeah. See, that's the
I have a solution.
Tell me.
Because here, I don't know about where you are, but I guess you're in America, so they're probably mandatory. But here, crossbows are illegal. You could get away with having lawn darts. Say that they're just for your own personal use, but I imagine you could do some pretty decent damage.
I don't think I have really the rotator cuff strength, or I would throw out my shoulder if it came down to
the
me.
carpal tunnel, of course. Maybe the girlfriend could get out there and...
Wow, what a nice way to demasculate me. Sammy, if you don't have the ability to throw a javelin, maybe your girlfriend can. Very nice. Probably true. It's probably true.
Though lawn darts, they're pretty decently solid, but I wouldn't exactly call them a javelin.
Sure.
Guys, I got to split for work. It's been great chatting with you, and I'll see you tomorrow or whenever next time is.
Yeah, rub it in, Dave.
Love you. Probably go and get a free checkup at the GP after his shift.
Oh, right. After he walks through his misty tropical water, as the animals say hello to him in some kind of Disney-like world that he lives in. Yeah. So I will report back on how well my buddy next door has fought the war against rats.
Probably
rats. Somehow I thought that's right. Dave's with the rabbits.
Yes.
Isn't it? Dave has the rabbit.
Yes,
problem.
Dave has the rabbit issue with the strawberries. These are just a lot of rats.
Yeah. My yard has cats in them.
Cats?
Yeah, my yard has cats.
Well, there are worse creatures to have, I imagine, than cats in your yard.
I tried to pet them.
How does that work? Does that? Yeah.
Some of them are friendly, some of them are not.
I believe Biscuit was out on the main streets for a while before she got rescued. But she doesn't, I mean, she just acts like an everyday cat. She doesn't act feral in any way. Quite friendly.
See, if all of your neighbors have a cat, but you don't, your yard will be the communal yard. It's where they'll come to fight, to do their
Oh, really?
business. Yeah, absolutely. I can
So you're saying
speak
that
to that
if
from
everyone,
personal experience.
so if everyone else has a cat, then though I'll have cat fights in my yard, I probably won't have a lot of rats.
That's true.
I should be gifting my neighbors cats then, like many large cats.
But you've got a cat, so
Yeah, my cat doesn't go outside.
hmm.
I would be someone who would be trying to benefit off of other people's cats, I guess.
At least you haven't took it on a lead.
No, dude. No, I'm not going to do that to my cat. There are many YouTube channels dedicated to rodent extermination. Some are pretty crazy. Yeah.
Their YouTube channel is dedicated to pretty much everything.
I'll have to check out some of those.
Did you? I think you actually might have shared the video or showed it on your channel. It was some sort of mouse trap. It was in Australia. It was a big. Essentially, they wound up in a big water dish.
Yeah.
So,
I dimly remember
see if
that.
I
Yeah.
can find it.
How is? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. So what else did I do besides talking to my neighbor about the rat issue? Look at the ones with dogs. Rat extermination with dogs. I don't know if I can see that imaginary god. That might be a little difficult for me because if there are dogs attacking rats, I don't know. That's tough. Tough stuff.
I suppose the most interesting thing I did this weekend was attend a political event for a person running for school board.
Really?
Yep.
So what is it? Highly competitive, the school board?
Yeah, I think there's 6 people running for 3 seats for the regular school board election, and then 2 people running for the special election school board for the person who had unfortunately died of COVID earlier.
Oh wow, that's horrible. Are any of the people running for school board? Are they like anti-evolution people, or you know?
I haven't talked to the people who are on the other side of issues for me to know exactly their positions. I mostly hang around people that I agree with.
Right.
And none of them are anti-evolution, to my knowledge.
Right. You just mentioning that Bertha Vasquez, who is the person who heads TIES, the Teachers Institute for Evolutionary Class. I don't know. She's a teacher down in Miami. She's been on the channel twice, and I forget the acronym, but she's going to be on the channel in a couple of weeks to talk about teaching evolution in schools and shit like that. Yeah, but it's good that you're involved, with local politics. We have an election coming up, and I know that we got a couple of people running for who are DSA people, Democratic Socialists of America, and hoping I'm just going to vote the ticket line. Vote.
The biggest issues with school board in my area have basically been we don't want to have to put taxes on anyone, therefore we're going to cut everything kind of people on the school board. So that's the biggest issue really around here.
Yes. You put gunk into the system, you get gunk out. You slash funding for schools and teacher salaries, and then you get people calling up poison control because they're taking ivermectin, basically horse pills to fight off COVID-19. Yeah, gunk in, gunk out.
Mm. Yeah, so it's really a struggle of like the people who want to actually properly fund the schools versus the people who want no taxes, and it's like that's the main issues really.
Yeah. Well, that's eternal, isn't it? That is the eternal conflict between school boards and and um, homeowners, property owners here in the States, because a lot of people don't realize here in the States, local property taxes pay for schools.
Mm.
Now, if you say to yourself, if you're like, once again, not here in the States, and you say local property taxes fund schools, then you automatically think, well, doesn't that mean that poor areas get shitty schools? And that's exactly what it means. And
Yeah.
that's just one of the many problems of schooling here in the States.
Even in St. Paul here, where there's both poor neighborhoods and wealthier neighborhoods within the same school district,
Mhm.
somehow, even though it's the same overall school district, the wealthier neighborhoods still get the better schools.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because it's like overall the taxes are low, but then there's supplementary funds that happen to go into certain local
Oh yeah, dude.
schools.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. D Parks, I just saw this comment. It's like your new secret pleasure is crime scene cleanup videos. That sounds. Oh, don't tell anyone. Sorry. I didn't even know that such things existed. I had no idea those things existed.
So, are those videos like the police after the investigation or before police ever arrive? Which type of videos are we talking about? That's a very, very different context.
Hmm. Yeah. I am curious about that. Nicholas points out schools should be paid by need. Oh yeah, inner city schools need more money. Have to pay
Yeah.
their teachers more to teach there. Oh yeah, definitely, no doubt about that, Nicholas.
Hey, Nick.
And D Park says both. They can be gross. I imagine they can be. Yeah.
He's right about the schools there.
Yeah. How's it done in Australia, Sammy? Is it local funded completely, or is it by province?
It's by numbers.
Mm.
So, but otherwise it's pretty reasonably fair. Some reason private schools and religious schools get a shitload of government funding, which I'll never understand.
Yeah.
I know why, I just don't understand.
We were watching this show. It's a reality show, and I'm not a big fan of reality TV, but it's the name of it is Unorthodox, and I don't know if this is the same. This is a great book, by the way. That's a reality show. My girlfriend's not watching, unfortunately, because then she could comment. But this book by Deborah Feldman that was out, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It's about a woman who got out of Hasidic, an ultra Orthodox Jewish faith. It's an exceptional book, and there's a reality show out there called Unorthodox. I'm not sure it's by the same woman, but it's about her journey being completely, secular. She's like and her children who are still kind of grappling with the effects of being raised in an Orthodox lifestyle, Orthodox life, and how they're dealing with it. And I only saw one episode of it yesterday, and I thought, wow, there's a lot of trash in it. There's a lot of glitzy, pretty, OMFG. There's all these people with money, but there's real discussions about faith and about religious freedom. And when they use religious freedom in a way of clubbing people over the head with their prejudice and their bias. And like I said, I've only saw an episode, but it is able to entertain people while still.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Is it's just come out on Vice. Actually, I'll try and find the name of it. A very scathing documentary on the Jehovah's Witnesses.
A scathing.
So,
A scathing
yeah,
documentary.
it's. Let me see if I can
That
find
this
the
is the
name.
name of the reality show, by the way. My Unorthodox Life. It's I'm not going to say I'm hooked on it, but I'm definitely going to be watching some more episodes. So there was a scathing documentary on Jehovah's Witnesses, huh? Is this worldwide or just in Australia, Sam?
Oh no, this is American. It was released in Australia and Britain on Amazon Prime, and everywhere else on Vice, where you can get Vice. Crusaders, it's called.
Crusaders.
Yeah. Whistleblowers leak stolen documents in a crusade to expose allegations of abuse and mind control. So, yeah, they someone actually, and I'm not promoting that this is the right thing to do, but basically trespassed, broke into a congregation and stole a heap of their documents, that because they keep very detailed records on all their judicial meetings that they have when people sin. So a lot of
So
nasty.
they took paper files, I take it, because they're not really encrypting files on the cloud or doing anything like that. They're all just paper copies, because that's what you want.
Well, they have evolved to the cloud, so they do have now a database, which is only making it worse for themselves, because they've as much admitted this database exists in their like their manuals for their elders and things, but it all begins as paper.
Yeah.
So they fill out all these forms and do all this, but then they have to enter all that. So it exists.
Yeah. That's what got the Boy Scouts in trouble. Or one of the things that got the Boy Scouts in trouble is that they had something called the perversion files. And you can Google this, Boy Scouts of America perversion files. And it's basically a record of how the Boy Scouts of America kept records of troublesome, meddlesome, basically pedophiles within their own ranks, and what they didn't do about it. Yeah. And Sammy froze again. Just when it was getting good.
It's still a respectable picture of him, though.
There is. It looks very.
The hand is a little bit interesting, but overall still respectable.
Yeah. He's in an action pose. So My Unorthodox Life is on Netflix. That's what Dolphin says. Hey Sam, you just broke out. You were in this majestic pose, action pose there for a second.
Oh.
Yeah.
As long as I paused in a good face.
Oh well, that's what counts.
It was decent.
Yeah.
Dang it! It didn't pause there. Oh, that's a good one.
No, that is. You're just gonna spend the rest of the show basically commenting on when Sammy freezes. This will just be like reaction videos of Sammy freezing. That's what
I'm gonna have to watch it back.
Oh.
I'll sit here like this.
Right, exactly. The education system in the U.S. is run by fear. Well, it's run by classism. It's a classist. And when you look at redlining and the history of basically putting the ghettoization of Black people, it's run on fear, racism, and classism.
Am I being too general if I said that I think a lot more than just the education system's run by fear.
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to go there.
Let me just check the prison stats here in the States for a minute and see what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Nicholas,
sad state of affairs.
Sure enough. To some classes, quote unquote classes. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and that's, of course, I'm not saying anything new. It's so difficult to talk about class issues here in the U.S. when race just infects everything. Yeah.
Another interesting correlation is look at the available internet speeds and old redlining maps. It's like,
Yeah.
And St. Paul is like, all the wealthy neighborhoods, they got the fastest speeds. But my neighborhood, which was considered a declining neighborhood kind of thing on the maps, is like, yeah, you don't get anything.
What's interesting, I've been out to upstate New York a couple of weeks ago, and whenever you go into rural areas, heavily conservative areas, it always galls me that these communities would not be getting electricity if it wasn't for the New Deal. If it wasn't for the fact that FDR, Delano Roosevelt, saying we have to electrify the entire country, the New Deal. Because, of course, there's no profit motive for electric companies to actually run wire out there. If it wasn't for the government, they wouldn't even have fucking electricity at this point. And somehow that's like missing. That just, socialism is still evil.
It's funny. I used to watch Star Trek, like The Next Generation.
Oh yeah, great job.
And the whole futurism and no war, no money, and it was still very American. And I used to think, America's gonna take us there, and now not so much.
No. Yeah, it's yeah.
I haven't given up completely.
If we just give maybe the Norwegians a ton of money, maybe for a space program, maybe they would be the ones to do the job. I'm not sure.
Well, they probably don't need or want the money, because if they're anything like, I think it's Switzerland, I was saying the other night, 1 in 10 retires a millionaire.
Right. A real millionaire too, not just like a fake millionaire here in the States, where you have enough money up until the time you get cancer or you get some kind of medical issue, and then, oh wow, look, guess what? You're no longer a millionaire. Well, that's the thing, Nicholas. I think that's one of the things I like to talk about. Nicholas says prison makes criminals, people come out more violent than they came in. And that's really the difference between, kind of like a nurturing culture versus a punishment culture. And the reason why we have a punishment culture is because of evangelical Christianity, and because here in the States. And, it's really a question between like the social democratic model of public health model of nurturing people squaring off against this kind of, Iron Age view of how people should be living their lives.
The older I get, the whole prison thing just seems barbaric to me, just locking people away. I get the punishment thing, or the need for justice or retribution or whatever word you want to use. But even what we see on TV, like they have these inside the prison shows and
I've
stuff.
seen a bunch of
that's
those.
that's not even a fraction of it. You'll see often leaked footage and photos from inmates who have got hold of a phone, and the fights and the drugs and you know, it's a crime against human rights. I know that they have lost rights, but it almost crosses over the human rights line for me.
Yeah.
You know, the state of some prisons.
Well, you know,
punishing criminals doesn't help society.
It
There's
makes
no
us
benefit.
feel better. That's it.
You know, once if you can wrap your mind around, you know, let me try to frame my thoughts. You know, I read The Selfish Gene by Dawkins years ago, where he basically comes up with this assertion that, you know, we're just a bunch of wet robots for all intents and purposes, right? Once you realize there's no soul, there's no spirit, that we are material beings, then that naturally leads you to think, you know, that, you know, free will isn't a real thing. And I mean, it's useful. It's a useful tool for us to talk about and to live our lives. But if we don't have free will, then how do prisons not become just an institution about behavior management and behavior change? Because punishment isn't really, you know, useful. It isn't really useful to think about in terms of criminality unless it creates a behavior change, right?
And in essence, I mean, I guess it is creating a behavior change in often cases, but not the one that's desired.
Exactly. So if you look at the prison system as just a way to or as a primary way to punish criminals, then that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because punishment is not creating the behavior change that you're looking for in the long term.
Yeah. It really should be
So
more
the money.
it really should be more about rehabilitation and like
That's where the money needs to go, into the rehabilitation.
Yeah. Sure enough. But it's difficult when we have, as God, imaginary God points out, that we have a private prison system. So you see the system, right? You see the system working in terms of, you know, private prisons get a lot of money. They feed money back into politicians, into political, you know, into PACs, and that just creates more of an incentive for the government to lock up people. It is a pernicious positive feedback loop.
Nick has a good comment there. I think that's kind of what I was saying, but he said it much better.
Which one?
What are we trying to do with prisons? You know?
Yeah. Well, right now, it once again, I think we're just locked into this kind of Iron Age view of punishment and how people should behave. It seems like, you know, all the work that we've done in behavioral sciences just does not seem to cause a whole lot of policy changes in terms of prison in the prison system here in the States.
Do you think that there's still a bit of a stigma around behavioral sciences and psychology and stuff? Not so much psychology, but I think that a lot of conservative thinking people see it as a bit of woo.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, they've been indoctrinated with this concept that we were born evil, right? Because that's what original sin is, that you're born evil. And evil is something to be fought. And that's a pretty that's a box that is difficult to dismantle.
Or maybe we should just find a big landmass on the other side of the world where we send all of our criminals to, and they can do their own thing over there.
Did you just invent Australia, Dr. Tom?
I was biting my tongue.
I know it's set up when I see one. I know it's set up.
But didn't I'm sure we're not the only one either. I believe there were other countries that they used as penal colonies.
Yeah, I believe Georgia, the state of Georgia here in the States, was originally set up as a penal colony, or at least had a lot of prisoners sent over to.
Yeah, right.
Chris Mario says, I find it sick that people are so pro-life but want capital punishment. Well, if you look at the, you look at Phil Zuckerman's, the story that we covered in the last show, that these so-called moral people, these religious, the faithful, many of them are categorically wrong on so many different issues. Now there are some religious people who who do try to get some kind of consistency. Like I know Catholics who are pro-life and anti-death penalty. And at least that's consistency. I definitely don't agree with their anti-choice stance, but at least their consistency. But by and large, I think, especially with conservatives, that they are anti-choice and just anti-life in general.
Before the abortion issue really came up, pro-life was a anti-death penalty position. That's what their slogan was.
Say that again, Dr. Tom?
Before abortion really became an issue and the anti-abortion activists basically hijacked the term, pro-life was an anti-death penalty position.
Yeah. The so-called pro-life movement was a naked attempt just to get political power and to energize their base, the Christian base, the Republican base. Take care, Nick. Good to see you too, man. It's good to be passionate about the topic, no doubt about that. But it was a naked, and it was highly successful too. They were able to get their base, the conservative base, the religious base, energized over that one issue about abortion.
Yeah, my aunt was a one-issue voter for a long period of time, where she was voting for conservative candidates because they were against abortion.
Yep.
It was like, it took my cousins, me, other people, a long time to convince her that that doesn't make any sense. The thing that convinced her the most was her realizing that abortions go up under Republican policies and down under Democrat policies.
Yes. When you have
when you have proper sex education, when you have proper access to contraceptions, when you have all these other things, it's like abortions go down.
Yes. That's the thing about science, right? Science challenges our basic intuitions about the world many times, and you just kind of sit people down and and a lot of the times they're irrational, and you're just banging your head up against the wall. But you look at the data, and it's like when you have sex education, when you have condom use, the number of abortions are going to go down.
But when the situations arise where you still need the abortion, it should still be available.
Yeah.
For me, the hardest part, or I think the part that grates me the most, is that it implies that people who choose to have an abortion do so with ease or flippantly, or that they're not, greatly affected by this. I just find that really despicable.
And you can see how it feeds into the racism here too in the States, where you have the welfare mothers, where you have non-white women demonized.
Infuriating.
It's difficult to stay aware of what goes on and not be angry at stuff at the same time, you know.
And it's I think that's why your show is so cathartic for a lot of us, because it's all day long. You think, am I the crazy one? Like, why are they all so crazy? It must be me. But then you come to the Disappointed Cat Morning Show and you realize, okay, there is at least 10 others of us. So
there are some of us who realize that the lunatics are in charge of the asylum, basically.
Yep.
You know, who was it? I think it might have been Sartre who said that the only reasonable response to how life is by embracing absurdity to a certain point. You know, and it's like, yeah, I can vibe with that. I can understand that. I can appreciate that.
That just reminds me of character in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, Wonko the Sane, who built a asylum to contain all the crazy people in the world, and he was the only one outside of it, and it was basically an inside-out building.
Right. That's great, dude. I forgot about Wonka the Sane, indeed. I forgot to mention this. So I was walking around. I was going through my morning walk, or through a walk, my usual route, and there's a particularly built-up area close by, and we're right by Cambridge. So I was walking through, and I thought I saw noted academic Simon Schama. He doesn't look like Simon Schama, and he's done things like The Power of Art, History of Britain. He's done all these kind of things. Noted public intellectual. I think he's over at Columbia. And I'm like, I am not going to go ask this man if he's Simon Schama and act like a fucking blithering idiot in like the human. And he was a soldier. He was like an older guy, of course, and he had like a suit jacket on, even though it's fucking balls hot and the humidity is like 92 degrees. It's like the last thing. And I've seen famous people before, and I have not gone over to them because it's like they just want to live their lives, man. So I don't know if it was Simon Schama. He could have been like, I don't know, Howard's right down the street from here. MIT too. So but it's like, yeah, I'm not going to accost him and ask him, are you Simon Schama? Or say, hey, I really love The Power of Art. That series you did. Keep up the good work. That you did like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. But if you do ever want to call out to someone, but you're not sure if it is that person, you just say their first name and wait. A person cannot not respond if they hear their name, so they will turn. So if you just went Simon,
right,
he would have turned. If not, just keep walking.
Yes, I'm going to take that under advisement, and I may actually make that my policy right there, Sammy. I think that those are wise words.
I've had to use that myself.
Oh, really? Huh? All right, all right, yeah. Yeah. Because, then, I mean, if it is Simon Schama, then besides me complimenting him, I would be duty bound to ask him to come on my show too, right? I mean, that would just be one of those things.
Just goes without saying.
It just goes without saying, exactly. Yeah.
See, I learnt that after cuddling someone from behind that I thought was my nan. It was someone else's nan. It wasn't my nan. She was lovely though. She appreciated the free cuddle. But then I learned that shouting "nan" doesn't help.
No,
so
wise words of wisdom. Saying, luckily for me, I'm an anti-cuddle person in general. I know that you're all surprised at this. Unless, I'm dating you, then I'm not really into the physical contact. I'll hug my kids and everything, sure. But everyone else, I've literally placed a girlfriend in front of me to to do the hug. It's like she's my proxy hugger at times. Wow.
Shield.
My shield. That's a better word. Exactly, my shield.
I do it's pretty sad how much thought has actually gone into this. But I'll go for the handshake and then go, oh, COVID, and go in with the elbow.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's a nice system you got there, Sammy. I have one more. I actually have a legitimate question. I can't believe I waited 55 minutes into the show. So we have a chance to go see Wait, Don't Tell Me, the PvP, the NPR show, and it's an outdoor event, and it's this Thursday. Is it wise for us to go to an outdoor event? It shouldn't be super crowded, but it's definitely outside a number of hours, maybe 2 hours. And is this a wise action? Is this something I should be doing? That's wise. Now we're both fully vaccinated, of course, and most of the people I would say at the event will be vaccinated too, since it's like an NPR show, and they seem to be relatively responsible folk. What do you think, Dr. John Foolery? Yeah, or no? Yeah, you are a doctor.
So long as it's not packed in like sardines or anything like that.
Right. Sammy has returned.
I thought this COVID jab was supposed to give me 5G.
It's
giving
you. It's only in very certain spurts. Sammy.
I think I need the second shot.
Oh well, of course you need the second. When do you do for the second shot?
The 13th.
Okay. Yeah. So Sam,
it's 4 weeks for AstraZeneca.
Oh, 4 weeks. I did not know that. I did not know. So Dr. Tom Foolery thinks it's okay if the girlfriend and I go out to an outdoor event for like 2 hours or so. It's a live showing, a recording of Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR, news show. I myself, I'm not sure. Dr. Tom Foolery, because he's a doctor, I take an associate professor in cardiology. I think he has good advice.
As long as you're not packed in like sardines, I said.
Yes, as long as we're not packed like sardines. Kat says I'd wear a mask. That's good.
Yeah.
Outdoors is good. Oh, you mean you hadn't already decided to wear a mask, Andy?
I haven't thought of anything, to tell you the truth, Sammy.
Okay.
We just gave up John Mulaney tickets, brother. We just gave up John Mulaney tickets because that was indoors, and we're like, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, indoors.
I suggest a full body condom and then tie a knot in it. But failing that, a mask. Outdoors is good as long as you're not. Yeah. If you're touching other people, that's a concern.
Yeah.
Like the political event I went to this weekend, it was outdoors, and all the chairs were spaced apart and everything like that. So it wasn't necessarily that concerning. So if it's like that, and it was a DFL event for Minnesota, so that's the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So they're the kind of people that are more likely to take the pandemic seriously.
Yeah.
So all that,
I just wonder how legitimate social distancing can be at these things.
Well,
that's my only question.
Well, this is a good point. It's as I like to talk about that MIT study we covered months ago. Social distancing indoors is bullshit. Unless you have good ventilation, unless everyone has masks on and you have good ventilation. That being said, I don't know what the deal is for outdoors. Though Deep Parks does a mic drop here. As I tweeted yesterday, I'm no longer comfortable raw dogging oxygen.
I love it, D. That's great.
And
I'm with you. I feel naked without my mask. In my own home is the only time I don't have a mask now. It's part of me.
D, do you mind? I'm going to steal that, D. I think that's too good not to take.
I sometimes refer to some of these COVID churches as COVID hotboxes.
Yeah.
All right, it's getting up to
Absolutely.
an hour. I can tell you this: I'm not going to my job after this, everyone, but I do have to do stuff.
Oh,
It's
Andy.
so funny, it hurts.
Everyone needs to send Andy super chats and become a member. And
Yeah.
Andy, I wanted to say this before.
Yeah.
The reason your YouTube channel hasn't taken off yet is
Tell me.
because you don't have a cute little side kick with googly eyes, who you have witty banter with.
Yes. You know, with all of this time on my hands, you know, I've been actually journaling over the last few days, trying to cope with things. And I think, and journaling is not just about, because I'm a fan of several Stoic YouTube channels. And, you know, I of Stoicism in general. So one of their suggestions is journaling. So I've been doing that, but also doing like, you know, try to get a grasp of my days and how I structure my days too. But I think putting in googly eyes, finding googly eyes for microphone, I think it has to be at the top of my priority, or at least on the list, Sammy. So I'll say that.
Well, I mean, he's already evolved from the microphone to microphone.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
give the poor guy some eyes,
Indeed.
some googly eyes. There you
Yeah.
Put
go.
it right there.
Just embrace your mental breakdown, Andy.
I'm just gonna hold on. Yes, we're just gonna move through it. We're just gonna move through.
Just ride it like a wave.
That's right.
They say.
That's my plan. Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for showing up for the shows, panel, chat, viewers, lurkers, everyone. I'm back here tomorrow morning. Take care.
Hooroo.